Autumn 2021, a few months before Russia's full-scale attack on Ukraine, Lukashenko and Putin start a hybrid war against Poland using illegal migrants. Some politicians in the opposition at the time do not understand this and attack the defenders of our borders. Maybe I will come closer to record you. Maybe we'll do a face scan so we can find you. Among other things, a buffer zone was introduced because of such behavior that made it difficult to protect our border. The policeman who refused Klaudia Jachira and Ursula Zielińska entry into the buffer zone faces 3 years in prison for overstepping his authority. All this after complaints from female deputies of the now ruling coalition. The Polish state is once again turning its back on those who defend the border. But on the other hand, a signal is being sent to all officers, including the police, that if a ruling coalition MP expects something from the police, they are to follow his or her orders, or else they may face consequences. I assure both Mr. Superintendent and other police officers, border guards and soldiers that we will not leave this matter. We are offering legal assistance within the framework of the team set up by Law and Justice. Stop the pathocracy. The right wing is outraged. Ursula Zielińska and Klaudia Jachira, delighted that the defender of the Polish border will stand trial. I am very pleased that finally the prosecutor's office is acting independently and not under influence, and that it has listened to the court's request, which the court ordered to be reconsidered 3 times. These ladies are simply ideological sociopaths who, in the name of their ideological interests, want the prosecutor's office to prosecute a man who was simply obeying the law, who was doing his duty. They are the ones who tried to bypass the law. Chief Superintendent Tomasz Waszczuk, who did not let the deputies in, does not feel like he should be accused of anything. He stresses that he was doing his job and would do it again. The duty officer during the shift passed on the information that the female deputies were not allowed to enter. I explained to Ms. Zielińska and Ms. Jachira that they simply do not have documents authorizing them to enter, and the police officers would not let them in. Because to enter the buffer zone, you need the permission of the border guards, and such permission was not obtained by the deputies, as confirmed by the border guard. MPs Ms. Klaudia Jachira and Ursula Zielińska are not on the list of people who received permission from the commandant of the post in February 2022 to enter the buffer zone. Jachira claims otherwise. Did you have permission from the border guard to be in the buffer zone? Of course, it's all in the files. Please see for yourself. Because the border guard says something completely different, that you did not have this permission. I don't know, there is an email. Please look at the records there. Klaudia Jachira interprets the law as the leader of her party, Prime Minister Tusk, that is, as she herself understands it. Hence the attack on the police officer. I thought this was a political action, and now I have proof that not allowing us as deputies to the parliament, to our parliamentary office, as part of the professional work we were going to do there. According to the law, you needed the permission of the border guard. No, according to the law, every time I didn't show my ID card, I entered on the basis of an agreement for the rental of a branch of the parliamentary office, and I'm very happy that Law and Justice is coming back on this issue. They did not get permission from the border guards to enter, and simply could not enter. I know how such things are handled. I am the chairman of the illegal migration team, and 2 weeks ago I was in the buffer zone. I was legally in the buffer zone, because I requested such permission from the border guard representatives in Białowieża. If someone is doing it illegally, they can't go in there. Also shocking in the case is the behavior of prosecutor Zbigniew Chmielewski, who dealt with the policeman. Let's take a look at the timeline. In April 2022, Prosecutor Chmielewski refuses to initiate proceedings against Chief Superintendent Waszczuk following complaints from MPs Zielińska and Jachira. 10 months later, the court overturns the decision to refuse to open an investigation. But less than 2 months later, in April 2023, Prosecutor Chmielewski again discontinues the investigation, scoring the police officer's conduct in accordance with the law. In October, the court again reverses the prosecutor's refusal. Meanwhile, on December 13th, Donald Tusk takes power in Poland. Suddenly, in April of this year, the same prosecutor Chmielewski, who refused to open the investigation and then discontinued it, charged Tomasz Waszczuk with exceeding the powers of a public official. What has changed over the past weeks, months, that suddenly the prosecutor's office is waking up to action. Suddenly, criminal charges are being brought against an officer. Allnet asked the prosecutor's office if there was pressure from politicians of both the previous and current government at any stage of the investigation. No answer was given. Today, the consequences for the fact that the law was unclear will be faced by the executor of the law, that is, the police officer, so it will indeed be a difficult situation for him. But I remind all police officers that those times are not over. The MP's ID card opens all doors, and it is absolutely impossible to detain an MP when he or she is performing his or her official duties. This is not true. As we already know, there are situations in which even an MP needs permission, as in this particular case, permission from the border guard. Are you proud of all your activities on the border? Of course I am. Chief Superintendent Tomasz Waszczyk has resigned from the post. I feel a sense of resentment towards the system. From a guardian of the law, I suddenly become a criminal. I served citizens for 28 years and would have continued to serve if not for the incident with the deputies. The situation forced me to leave. If I had stayed in the service, it would have been a problem for me, but an even bigger problem for my superiors. I didn't want that to happen. And so once again, Donald Tusk's coalition and its politicians spit on the Polish uniform. In the context of what is happening now at the border, my situation proves that none of the officers serving there can count on the help and support of the state. This state, in the event of a stumble, can destroy any of them by the hands of MPs, senators, or ministers. Adrian Borecki, TV Republika.
Zrozumie dramat tej sytuacji, tak jak my wszyscy.